Welcome back to Mcoc AlBundyRules. So showing my new R3 6-star, starting off with Cable here, looking at some of those stats from his health, his attack. We see he's a rank 3 and at level 45. This one is a signature level 20 awoke. And so I'm going to show you whole fights or pieces of fights and random content here just to give a basic idea of what he can do. These fights are with him using that Apocalypse synergy. We'll see that nice range on that heavy to where you don't even have to necessarily parry in heavy. Contrary to natural belief on him, you can just let them run into that heavy. A lot of times they will. Easy to punish specials and heavy missed heavies from them too. See, only 8 attacks there and with the 100,000 health pool there. Very simple. So I'm using Apocalypse synergy. However, most of these fights don't have the horseman pre-fight activated. So just the synergy, not the pre-fight activated on most of them. We're seeing the amount of damage. So I love my new R3 rank ups because this one I got quick, easy, massive damage, especially that DOT degeneration, when degeneration isn't like other DOTs where there's a lot of immunities, this and that. Bottom line, most of them are going to take this degeneration out there. We see only 9 hits right there. Nice and sweet. Smooth and easy. So now we have this Rol Wolverine. This fight, I like this one because this one is an infamous fight for like massive regeneration. Not a whole lot of counters. All the number is increasing. So trying to out damage Wolverine's regeneration is extremely difficult. However, we're going to see a little bit more to Cable here. Other than just this crazy DOT damage, which we see stacking quick too, I'm also going to show you concussion, which can help minor and lower some of those defensive abilities such as regeneration. So with that concussion active, we're going to see Cable just completely, as if he wasn't already, decimate Wolverine. Look at that degeneration going. Regeneration is not triggered now. Got him in the corner, just doing some crazy stuff to him. So this, you see the regeneration is not going, he's not getting into the health because of that concussion. So another thing people sometimes oversight Cable on right there to where he can control that. So he did that what's known as a pretty rough fight. And only 29 hits right there. Super smooth, easy breezy right there. So now we have a LOL file, 1.5 million health pool to see how can he do against these major health pools. So again, I'm kind of showing a variety of different fights out there. Some ROL, some LOL, some story mode, some whatever. Try not to do any modes to where he gets massive like positive buffs. Just trying to show you what he can do on his own with that synergy. Again, for the most part, pre-fight ability isn't activated in most of these fights here. Just that APOC synergy, and we see it's worth it. And the good thing about the APOC synergy too is when Cable does not need the pre-fight, as we see, and so I can use it on a different mutant if I want. So if I wanted to bring, a lot of you know I love that Psylocke. Also Gambit is another fun one. Maybe somebody else. I got the new AA, so maybe if I want to use the pre-fight on one of them or Strive, then awesome. I don't need it on Cable, and the Cable and APOC really benefit each other. So big reason I ended up going with Cable over the other mutant options. I've been talking about who my next R3 mutant was going to be for a while now. I have not been able to make up my mind. I mean, I was going back and forth for ages on this, and I know most of you are going to be and are surprised that I went with Cable because I think most people, including myself, thought I was going to go with Psylocke, and believe me, I almost pulled the trigger on that so many times. One thing that really held me back on here was because I was realizing I'm still going to have to do a trio most of the time, because unless the first fight is a mutant in a path, because although she doesn't technically need the activated pre-fight, it does help her quite a bit, especially on the damage, although the synergy alone does make a massive difference too. But so trying to activate that on her where she does greatly increase her benefits with the pre-fight from APOC, it was either to where I'd have to bring Cable in anyway, so APOC gets that 4-fight and I have to have APOC to start off, or I'd have to have APOC start off on a mutant. So that's bottom line. The way I was looking at most of the time, I would either use Gambit, who definitely needs that pre-fight activated, or Psylocke, my 2 heavy competitors, all with Cable on there. And most of the time they're bringing Cable anyway, so there is a good chance that I'll probably R3 either Gambit or Psylocke later on in the road, but I figured if I'm going to be bringing Cable along with Mcoc anyways, and he can do stuff like this, we saw him control the regeneration last fight. We see this crazy damage he does right there. He's got some regeneration for sustainability himself. He doesn't rely on specials, so he's very suicide friendly. He's got everything I want. So if he does all of this, why would I not R3 him? So he wasn't the one I was leaning towards, but the more I play with him, the more I use him, I'm like, you know what, it makes perfect sense for me. He's not my favorite to use out of my options, although it is pretty close, but the more I use him, the more I've been loving him, and I just bring him along with those other champs I wanted to rank up anyway, and we're seeing what he does. Even when I'm fighting a little sloppy here, he's got the nice reach to try to take advantage of occasionally, especially in this fight. This Red Hulk just become AI master decks on some of these, sending them out, and he's just texting like crazy. So we got that degeneration going. We just see what he can do. He's smooth. He does not have to do that parry because he's very easy. It makes it quicker, sure, but you can lock him in the corner. You can stand back from a distance like right there and just punish that heavy. You can punish that special from a distance right there. So it makes it smooth. Makes it sweet. I've been really having a lot of fun using him, and we just see that damn. But I just love watching all these crazy red numbers, and we see Red Hulk throw an uppercut. I mean, that went right through me after he KO'd. God, I love some of these crazy animations. So only 92 hits for a 1.5 million health pool. Okay, that's less hits than a lot of champs, including R5s, R2s, and R3 6-stars even can do a Winter Soldier ROL 500,000 health pool. 1.5 million, only 92 hits. So that's some pretty impressive stuff. So he can just melt through these champs effortlessly. Less hits means less power buildup. A lot of other issues. So here's another ROL fighter right on over here, the Black Panther, and again in that 500,000 health pool range, and we're just seeing boom boom. We'll see I'm able to do the punishment off of those misses on those heavies and specials. Again, we are seeing the Black Panther after buff animation from ROL, so a little bit more crazy looking. I do enjoy the animation, especially using it. Fighting against him, still getting used to it after that buff because he just seems a little hyperactive right there, which is cool. I like the hyperactive type of AI styles, at least using it, not as much as trying to keep him in line. So it gets them S2, got that Incinerate going, some more DOT on top of the degeneration. We see that nice smooth concussion, which we saw how helpful that concussion was in that Wolverine fight, especially can make a nice difference in lowering the defensive abilities right there. So now at this point, Black Panther just melting himself away, kind of hang on back and just let him fall down, and boom, there he goes, right on cue. Get that boy a pillow. So 30 successful hits. Only 30 hits to do over about 500,000 damage. That's pretty impressive. So now let me show you. I gave you a good idea why I did Cable. So let's do why I did Claire. Let's take a look at Claire. We see her health. We see her attack. We see level 45. She is not awoke. She just doesn't need her work. I do have as an R5 5-star 200 sig, but I still on the 5-stars, but I still brought her up as an R3 6-star, and an awoke. She does not need her awaken ability at all. If for some odd reason I felt like I needed it, I got her R5 5-star, but she is insane. She is one of the best suicide champs in the game, definitely the best suicide mystic champ in the game. And I'm almost always running suicides. So I love these combinations between my two new. See that nice easy, it does some good damage there, but I love this combination of my two new R3 6-stars because of the fact I got my massive damage ability over there on Cable when I just wanted to melt people away. Then I got my massive insane utility over here on Black Widow Claire. She can do that great damage, but she's got so much utility, and this was an easy choice on the R3, and there's some she's well known on her utility, some not as much. Like look at her on this is an Abyss thing, counter Abyss thing right there. So look how she's able to control those rock stacks. So sometimes those rock stacks, he gets up to 15, kind of gives people a hard time. When I take advantage of the immunity, I've kept it on the bleed mode right there, since he's immune to bleed. I'm nullifying items. So I'm keeping his rock stacks in massive check without even really trying. So he's only at 2 with all these hits. I'm able to easy and then even lower it again with those heavies because of those nullifies going on from that immunity. And that's one thing I love about Black Widow Claire, is that she's got some very unique utility, things like this that could be very helpful in some fights, especially keeping what could be tricky defenders in check, especially on nodes such as these abyss nodes right here. Even with the class disadvantage, she's able to do that. She can do some healthy damage. She's not a top damage dealer, but she can do very healthy damage. She is a high damage dealer for a utility champ though, for without a doubt. But I love the fact you can cycle her immunity. She can become bleed immune. You can get death touch over there with that S3. Can kind of just look at that as being able to kind of destroy that. So we're seeing over here to where she's going to, once you take it off the bleed, you can switch her on over to poison immune, to where she can take advantage of these poison immunity champs as well, or incinerate, where she can just do massive damage. So she's got 3 different immunities you can cycle through, which again makes her extremely suicide friendly. Starts off bleed immune, so that bleed goes away from suicides. You can switch her on 1 5-hit combo to poison immune, so that takes off her poison damage, and then she's good to go. One more cycle, you can get onto this burst damage with that incinerate immunity, and we see some nice damage right on in there. I can switch to Curse of Blood if I want to regain health, so I can regain health on command with her. Switch it back to Curse of Blood, so usually I switch it to Curse of Blood if I need the bleed immunity, or if I'm getting ready to regenerate. You see that regenerate, so that's what makes her so amazing for suicide. She can get the immunities to bleed and poison, plus she can heal pretty much on command, so you can do a few recoils or even make a mistake, take some hits, and heal back up. Nice and easy. So now we will see this Cosmic Ghost Rider fight. This is coming out of Act 7-2 right here. So here she can really exploit either the bleed immunity on him or the incinerate immunity on him, because again, if you use what they're immune to, she gets those extra charges over there, which I can use to my advantage for nullifying other items. We'll see me able to nullify those charges. I got her at 20 now because I've been taking advantage of his bleed immunity. Again, I can also switch it to the incinerate. Made a little mistake there, but I'm not too worried. If I make a mistake with Claire, I really worry too much. So I still got her on the bleed immunity. Decks out that S1, so I'm just going to do an S2 and regain some of my health right on up over here. And we'll see I can regain pretty good chunks of health pretty much on command. A couple S2s, so you get back all those mistakes, you get back those hits from as far as recoil, and just smacks them on around. So but I'm keeping her on the bleed version right here, mainly because of the fact that I want to be able to heal back on up, because I still only in the 40% range. So if I had another S2 come up, then I could go ahead and do that as need be. In the next fight, just start off with that, get to the S2 and heal. So here's another LOL fight right here. This is going to be the Old Man Logan. Kind of starting off when those hitting those hits, I went ahead and cycled through. So I took off the bleed, I took off the poison, then I went to the Curse of Hellfire, which gives me incinerate immunity, which I don't need for this fight. However, it gives me that good long strong burst damage, so I could do some good strong damage in this fight on this Old Man Logan. And for a good chunk of the fight, especially when I'm just trying to go for damage, I'll pretty much keep it on incinerate a lot unless I need the immunities or needed to exploit something, because I can get the good damage. If I get to the point to where I need to reheal, if I've done a few recoils in a long fight like this is going to be, I'll switch it to the bleed immunity so I can heal up. If I'm fighting a champ that's either poison immune or that just has some kind of more tricky power control, maybe something like Hyperion is a good example, I'll keep her on the poison immunity, because there I can exploit his poison immunity there, getting extra charges, but I can also help keep power control. So if his power starts getting out of hand, if I don't nullify it for some reason, although it is pretty easy to nullify once she's in that mode, I can take some of his power, which is very good. So again, her immunity between 3 immunities, bleed, poison, incinerate, I can toggle back and forth between between her regeneration, nice regeneration. I can do as much as I want in the fight. Her power control, and of course this incinerate damage I'm able to get with the massive burst damage. I mean, it gives her major ability. We saw what she did with the thing over there and keeping those rock stacks. We see her nullifies. She can do buff immunity, keep them from getting buffs. I mean, she is an amazing champ. There's so much content she can get through. And there's always a long debate about best mystic, and most people blindly say Doom, and I'm not going to sit here and say Doom isn't the best mystic. I'm also not going to say he is. I'm going to say it's subjective. And I'm going to say it's based on big things, on masteries. You give me Claire over Doom on suicides all day, every day. You can't do same rotations with Doom. He can't re-heal from those recoils like Claire can. So without suicides, yeah, I'd probably say Doom, at least in a lot of content. With suicides, it's not even close. You give me Claire over any other mystic with suicides, not even close. And when I run suicides 99% of the time, this is my girl right here. This is what makes it work, because I can just do a little bit of everything. We see that burst damage. We see this 1.5 million health pool fight. And yeah, it's definitely taking some hits. But if I take a few seconds longer, but I can end this fight around 100%, that is good, because that's sustainable. That's questing ability. That's EQ abilities. That's Alliance War ability, story mode, any game mode she can be used in. Incursions. Because she has that damage, she has that utility, she has that immunity, she has the ability to deal the damage, and she can just last and keep going. So we see this fight still going, kind of ticking away. I'll show you the whole fight, how she can do very well against longer fights or on different contents, different nodes, giving you a little variety of stuff, variety nodes, variety champs, kind of seeing a little bit of everything these two new R3s can do. So I'm super happy with my new R3s. I got some new R3s coming up soon. I'm going to have a new Cosmic and finally my first Science R3 coming up soon too. So probably within the next week or two, I'm going to have an R3 in either and or both of those. Although my biggest issue right now isn't getting the rank up materials. My biggest issue is getting those ISO to level them up. That's where my biggest problem is. So trying to get ISO these days, oh, it's brutal, because it takes so much for these R3s. I would love if Kabam would do something about that on these R3s, or when R4s are coming out. Can you imagine how much ISO that's going to take? Oh, that's going to be horrible. So anyway, you look forward to seeing a couple more R3s coming out. Like I said, I am right there on that. Just need like a couple more shards on the T5Cs for each of them, like a couple thousand each. So that is coming. I have an ideas on who I'm going to do on each of them on my Science. Most likely I'm going to do Torch as my next Science, as my first Science R3, but I'm also looking at possibly Mr. Fantastic, who I've been really liking a lot. On Cosmic, really between Hela and or Cole. But with that being said, I'm hoping you enjoyed this video. Keep a lookout for more. Don't forget my other content. Got lots of great content, help you all get through all kinds of stuff, learn the things, learn the champs, learn the nodes. Mcoc AlBundyRules. Be sure to subscribe.